Welcome to Ancient Astrology with Sam and Verity.
Hi, I'm Sam Bakewell.
And I'm Verity Ebbs. And today is episode 20, and we'll be discussing the outer planets, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto.
Yeah, so Hellenistic and traditional astrology does not use rulership for outer planets. However, we do link a sign with an outer planet. The modern astrologers will use rulership, Uranus rules Aquarius, Neptune rules Pisces, and Pluto rules Scorpio.
Yes.
So this is, as far as I'm concerned, anyway, I can't speak for all Hellenistic astrologers, we can understand how those planets and signs feel comfortable together, but we don't take that rulership out of it because, when we're looking at a chart, we're connecting that planet with all those houses. So let's say I have Saturn in the first house and I'm looking at Capricorn, I'm looking at Aquarius, I'm looking at the first house because that's where Saturn is, and I'm looking at the 8th house because that's the exalted lord of Saturn as well. So it starts a dialogue forever, all these different events. And so if I missed that house of Aquarius, I wouldn't be able to I wouldn't be able to pick up all the health issues that I would have through Saturn. Right?
Yes.
So the three outer planets take on a generation rather than an individual. And it doesn't mean that we don't look at the outer planets when it comes to a natal chart. So yes. I always have them in the chart, but I'm only looking at it if they're angular or they're making an aspect to the Lord of the Ascendant. And even then, I'm not really paying a great deal of attention to them unless they're really in the first house or the 10th house.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's sort of like an extra layer of information
rather
than a big key part of it.
Like if you have a Sun-Pluto connection in your chart, like a conjunction, you can find that same conversation or same prediction in with the inner planets, like with you would have a Sun-Saturn connection.
Yes. Right.
So that could be the Sun in Aquarius or the Sun in Capricorn, or Sun makes an aspect with Saturn. So you'll see it in a different way. So I'll still get the same conversation or same dialogue, or same prediction.
Makes sense.
But but we do use it for transits. So when Uranus, Neptune, or Pluto changes signs, it's a big deal in the world,
Yes, it's kind of marking a new period, isn't it?
Yeah, something major is happening. The changes are starting to manifest, and it's just a big deal. You find that the sign will express departures for certain people, iconic figures, and situations that were centered on that ingress, the end of an era, so we do look at it for things like that, for world events, so for mundane astrology. So let me share the screen. First of all, I'll show you the glyphs, right? So we have Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. However, in my program, I don't have it like this. There's a choice of two, and I have it with a P. So now I'll just share. Yes, this is the outer planets for the program, Solify program. So I have my Pluto like this, right? So you got Pluto, Neptune, that's Chiron. However, we're not going to look at Chiron today, and Uranus. So, and the other thing is the pronunciation. We kind of spoke about that.
Yeah, we were raised to say Uranus.
But I always say Uranus because that's how I was taught how to say Uranus.
Yes, I first heard Uranus watching YouTube videos from like ancient astrologers, and at first I was like, oh, that sounds odd.
Right.
But now I prefer the sound of it.
Okay. And so how do you express Uranus?
Uranus now.
Okay.
I think that just sounds better.
Okay. That's good. So let's go through the three outer planets that we're looking at. And so Uranus was discovered in 1781.
Yes, so it makes sense that's why it wasn't used during ancient, Hellenistic astrology. It wasn't discovered then. So
yeah, but I think they did know about particularly Uranus. I think you can see it in certain times with the naked eye.
Right.
So I think they were aware of that, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
The cycle was between 82 and 84 years. And so Uranus takes
very long time.
it takes approximately 7 years to go through a sign, about 4 degrees per year. So what it represents, just the same as what we went through with the other planets when we did our first lot of episodes, you know. So Uranus represents radical change, surprise, things that are unexpected, and the desire to break free or break patterns. It is quick action, sudden upheavals, sudden whatever the outcome. Its influence over rioting and outbreaks and unusual political ideas, political tension, fascism, explosions, independence, and scientific breakthroughs. But I found that, like when I was doing the pregnancy class, you know, and I was looking, I had the outer planets. So it wasn't necessarily that native was going to use a medical intervention, you know, to fall pregnant, but it can do, you know, if the chart is somebody that's going to struggle having a pregnancy. So that's what I find with that's how I would use it if I was looking for a particular technique and I was using that. So when Uranus is strong in the chart, the native may want to break free, to be independent. They're innovative. They can be rebellious and tend to have different ideas. You know, so as a predictor of world events, you know, when Uranus is doing something to, let's say, to the moon, and it's a new moon or full moon, you know, then I would be thinking that it can be some sort of weather, you know, especially if it was a hard aspect, you know, lightning strikes and things like that. Yeah, so, you know, you've already got something radical going on, you know, with Uranus. And then if you had Mars inclusive with that, well, then I'd be thinking, you know, that there would be some debates or some unusual kind of conflict and fight going on. Yeah. Okay, so Neptune was discovered in 1846. And so the cycle was 165 years. Yeah, so it's massive. So you can see why when they change signs, you know, that it is a real big deal.
Yeah, and we will never probably see a full return of
Neptune. No, we definitely won't.
You only get like a tiny little chunk of what it can do.
Yeah, exactly. But it still can make aspects in your natal chart, which in our next episode on transits, and this is why we're introducing you to these outer planets. You'll see, you know, some of the effects on these outer planets, how they have on what they have on us, you know, by transit. It's approximately 14 years in a sign, about 1 to 2 degrees per year.
What do you think about Neptune? Like, sometimes I hear about it and it sounds very dreamy or nostalgic. And then other times it sounds almost like, oh, it sounds awful. Like, you know, you're being deceived. Or...
Well, you know, that's what I thought when I first learned about the outer planets. I thought they were always just negative.
Yeah, they can be very negative sounding. A lot of fear sort of based contents created around any transit to do with them.
But different authors, you know, I really trust astrologers like Bernadette Brady and Sue Tompkins, who are both modern astrologers, but they do have a very common sense approach, and they do have a little bit of traditional by the sounds of their books. So anyway, so they, you know, they'll put you at ease with, you know, it's not all negative. But as I say that, I'm going to say a lot of negative things now. So Neptune represents flooding, water, smog, cleansing, purification, confusion, deception, swindling, sacrifice, illusions, dreams, fantasies, visions, idealism, images, toxins, sickness, socialism, secret plots and sacrifice, illegal undertakings.
Sounds like a very when people describe
Decepful.
it as like foggy or drowning, it does all those things sound like that, like it would just take you over if that was your life.
And I find that, like, if Neptune's doing something to your natal moon, well then that could be, you know, you have these vivid dreams or or you're dreamy, you're just off dreaming about something, Okay, so Pluto was discovered in 1930, and the cycle is 248 years.
Pretty recent, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not that long ago.
But
when
I
you
guess
think about
soon,
the whole...
when it's 2030, it would be 100
Yeah.
years. But that's,
Yeah,
pretty
which is
recent.
soon.
Yeah.
Mm. In our lifetime anyway, 2030.
Yeah.
So it's approximately 12 to 33 years in a sign, so about a degree per year.
I find it interesting how this one can fluctuate so much.
I know.
It moves through the signs.
Yeah, it's really erratic, isn't it?
Like I think this
Depending
new
on
transit in Aquarius is going to be for a
Yeah.
very long time. I think
Yeah.
20 years or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when we look at transits, you'll see that it's in the same sign as your Saturn, so
Yes.
yeah, but it's still not till 2027, I think, that it actually gets close to being a degree away from.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think Saturn moves slow, then you look at Pluto.
Yeah. Exactly. So we'll have a look at that in the next episode. So Pluto represents oil, virus, the body, bodily function, death, total change, endings, manipulation, compulsion, crisis, rape, and violence. So they do sound pretty gross, don't they? They do sound very negative. Yeah.
Things.
Yeah. Secrets and obsession, and it depends on what kind of aspect it's making. So I would go a little bit easier with when it's a trine or a sextile, but when it's an opposition, to one of your natal planets, it can be something, not fun.
Any positives with it? I've heard of power. Could power work in a positive way, or is it always like in an obsessive, world-destroying way?
No, because we have some very powerful people in the world, and they obviously have some negative things going on in their life, but they enjoy power, don't they? So so it can be great wealth, detective work, and anything hidden from the public. And so when the sun Pluto is secretive about the self or father, because it's a secretive, planet. Mars Pluto, like if you have it, whether you have it in your natal chart or whether you have, a transit, so sexual secrets. And Venus Pluto, secret love affair. So it's not necessarily going to be those things. There's a lot to look at when it's running through your chart, and if you've got it in your natal chart. And because it's generational, so there's a lot of people in that are born with this in their chart, so
yes, exactly. And so I guess listening to those descriptions, you can kind of see why people do link Aquarius to Uranus and Scorpio to Pluto and Neptune to Pisces, because you can hear kind of the same descriptive words for those signs in those planets. So you can see why they are linked up, but at the same time, because they move so slowly and are more, the timing of it is linked more to generations rather than individual people. That it makes sense. But so I can see why maybe they are more comfortable in those signs. So
that's the outer planets, and so we don't use rulership because of the explanation that I've already given, but you can understand, you can see understand the link to it.
Exactly.
So we're not going to hold you up any longer because we want to get on to our transits and episode, which we're going to film straight after this. So thank you, and bye for now.
See you soon.